Welcome to another episode of the Black Accents Club podcast. My name is Sakudini. I am the host, and I am on a journey from unknown to unforgettable. And today I have with me a filmmaker.
Yes.
I think you'll be my first filmmaker on the podcast.
Oh my god, first? I'm honored.
Yes, you are the first filmmaker.
Oof, gonna make me cry.
Like, real filmmaker. Like, I've had, videographers, but that's not a filmmaker, right? It's different, right?
It's,
It's in the same field, but it's different.
They're cousins.
Yeah. All right, so introduce yourself for the audience.
Well, I'm Nasir. Nasir Simmons. Nasir Allah. Those are the names that get thrown around for me. Okay. I'm a writer, director, production designer. I also keep. I'm also a person that keeps looking at the camera and back at the person that's interviewing me.
So good.
Yeah, writer, director, production designer, model as well.
Okay.
It's more of a side gig, and that's the whole deal. I've been in London for about 4 or 5 years now. Okay. Doing that.
So, you're originally from Bermuda, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Born and raised, or?
Yeah. Until I was 16.
Until you're 16.
I went to India actually for finish high school.
Okay. So what made that transition happen, or?
Well, actually, because there was a scholarship that I thought I wasn't gonna get because they always give it to a certain kind of person, and so I was talking to my parents and I was like, I'm not gonna get it. Like, why even bother? And
is that one of those foreign exchange programs?
Yeah, kind of. Okay. UWC, it's got like all sorts of, like, there's like 19 different campuses or something, all different nationalities, and they give out scholarship. My parents forced me to apply. I did it. I got in, and so
I just went with it.
Here I am. Yeah.
That's dope. So like, what area of Bermuda did you grow up in?
St. George's.
St. George's.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all are a different breed down there.
Yeah, no, you ain't gotta tell me.
Like, different.
All my people are from Somerset. I know.
But is it different? But is different good though? Because I find what I'm finding is because who did it Insecure what's his name?
Jabari. Yeah.
I just recently interviewed him, and he's open, like, because at first it was Dion the creative, and then it was Jabari, and he put me onto Jabari, and now I got Jabari, and now it's just opened me to a whole new realm, and all you guys are from St. George's.
A word?
When you think about it, all of you guys are from the eastern end of the island, and it's just like,
I did not
maybe
know
I need
that.
to go move down St. George's to be around more creatives, but that's something that I've noticed.
Something in the water.
That's something that I've noticed from first Dion and then Jabari and then a few other people that have found my podcast just from having those people on. A lot of these people are from St. George's. Like, must be.
Got a popping down east.
Y'all look at your own little island and and y'all are doing stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I didn't even know that Dion's from St. George's because
he's not from St. George's, but he lived in St. George's for a period of time.
I've known him time, and I didn't like.
Yeah, he's not necessarily from, but he lived there for a while. I think he still lives there now. Yeah. But it's just like, it's interesting. So maybe I need to move.
Yeah,
and
get
expand my horizon on my little island. But tell us a little more about your filmmaking. Like, how did you get into it?
So filmmaking specifically, I would say first and foremost, my passion was always been writing. Like, as a kid, that was something that I knew I wanted to do. Okay. But I feel like I was a weirdly, like, practical kid. Because I would be thinking about, like, well, I gotta make money. So I was like, oh, well, I can't really be a writer. Like, what am I gonna be, a novelist? People hate books. I love them, but people hate them. Right. Is what a kid me is thinking. So I never really pursued that as, like, I never thought it was anything that I could pursue as a job or, like, any kind of living. But I think moving to India and actually studying theater and being able to write my own pieces as well as perform them and see kind of, because there would be these trips where they took us to see theater companies perform and see that there was people, like, making a living doing something that, like, yeah, you don't have to be in the Marvel movies, you don't have to be, out there really big stuff doing it, the millionaires, to be out there making a living and just doing what you love to do. So I think that's what kind of led me to filmmaking. And I thought, like, considering writing being my passion, writing for the screen, it just felt like a really natural transition. And I've really just been in love with it ever since I wrote my first script. So yeah.
Sorry, how old were you when you wrote your first script?
How old was I when I wrote my first script? I was actually pretty old. I had stories that I didn't realize were scripts because they were just basically all dialogue and like a couple action lines, and I didn't have like scene headers or anything.
Okay.
I wrote plays too before, but probably the earliest I was maybe 13, 14, probably. Okay. I would say.
All right.
It's a bit late to the game.
I mean, is it really?
Yeah, 13, 14, you already got one foot in the grave.
You put it that way.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So what would you say is one of your favorite scripts that you've written?
That I've written? Oh, that's a difficult one. I think the script for Tentacle Head, the film that actually came out. Well, it's not fully released because it's still on its festival run, still getting awards.
Is that the one that's, I think you said you have one that's coming out soon. Is that the one that you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the one that is actually, it's screening in the Weekend Tote Festival, actually, soon. I think that's in March.
Okay. Or
the summer. But, I actually completely forgot. Oh, Tentacle Head, the script. Okay. But yeah, that's screening at the Weekend Tote Festival. Tentacle is probably one of my favorite scripts. I think something that's important to me as an artist is blending in that sort of truth, meaning a kind of, not a message per se, because I don't like to get preachy with it, but I guess a certain statement that you want to be contributing, like a kind of knowledge, a statement, an opinion, some sort of idea. And I'm not sure if you know about this, but the way that I came up with the idea is I was talking to somebody who used to be homeless, and he told me all the things that he did to hide that from people, and I was thinking
about being homeless.
Yeah, so that you get respect, because like people would treat him differently, and that really got at me to my core. But I didn't want to steal his story for like my own artistic gain. Right. So I thought about how could you physicalize that sort of emotion of having something that you need to hide, and that's where like the tentacles from Tentacle Head comes from. Okay. So that's why I feel like it's one of my strongest scripts.
Okay. And you said it's in a festival right now? Or it's about to be? Okay, I don't know anything about film festivals, so I think you're going to have to educate me.
Yeah, no worries.
So how is it that works? So let's start from the beginning.
The beginning.
So you have a script. Well, you come up with an idea, then you have a script, and then what's next?
So you have the script. Depends what kind of resources, like money, you have behind you. But say, let's say it's like a student project, so you don't got to think about that, I guess, all so much. Okay. I think from there, and say if you're also directing, you find a director if you're not directing. But if you are, I think from there you probably go into a little bit of shot list stuff, into casting. You amass those resources. And when you have the shot list, you know what the camera is going to be doing. You're finalizing the script, because always there's redrafts until sometimes even the day before shooting. Right. You'll get sent one. So gathering all those resources, and then really just organizing everything. Okay. Saying how many days it takes to get this 30 minutes of film. We need 3 takes of all these different scenes. We got to shoot 20. And just kind of doing a bunch of mental math. But that's why there's a lot of chaos. A lot of things go wrong, because a lot of it's estimates.
Because you would never know until you actually do it.
Yeah. You're not in it till you're in it.
That's true. So, with Tentacle Head, you said.
Yes.
Right? Just make sure I'm getting it correct. With
Tentacle Head. You gotta come
correct. Did you produce that, or is someone else producing it?
Yeah, produced it. Wrote, directed, co-directed with Lily Monroe, who's my usual co-directing partner. Okay. But yeah, produced as well.
All right, so we spoke about the writing. We spoke about the... Oh, my dear, I just lost my train of thought. What did we speak about just now?
Sometimes I did the same.
It's weird how that just happens. So we spoke about the writing process. We spoke about the casting. How do you find actors for it?
So actually, that's kind of an interesting thing. It's a similar process through which, like, finding work. It's word of mouth, and also there's sites like Mandy, which basically operate kind of like Craigslist for
actors.
Yeah, for actors, crew people. And from my personal process, when it comes to, I try to be like pretty extensive when it comes to casting, because I think actors are very important. Like, when it comes to selling the scene, and also these are the people that you're going to be around. Like, they have to take feedback and also be able to contribute things into the scenes. Right. To say to you, like, hey, I'm just not feeling like this works, and kind of have a good sense for that within their character. So for me, I contact them. I'll get them to send some tape, and
like,
then
what they call like self-tape footage.
Yes, either self-tape or reel, and kind of get them in, maybe do a sort of audition rehearsal physical, because you gotta peep the vibe. And then from there,
right.
And I kind of workshop the character with them too, so that when we actually come to the set on the day, we have a mutual understanding of like who this character is. We're on the same page. We know who we're working with here.
Okay. And then what would be next after that? The casting.
After the casting. Oh, so say you've done the shot list, which is like you kind of sat down and you just either with your DP, you've already like crewed up. So that's within the casting process. I think likely you would have secured locations before like your producer would have done that.
Okay.
I think pretty much when you have the actors in order, you're rehearsing, getting final locations, maybe stuff like that, set dressing. So that's all like if this was a movie, all like the pillows and whatnot.
Right.
And that's kind of like the cherry on top. You get everyone all trained up and then you get them in the space and boom.
So roughly how long does it take for you to get to the process of actually starting to film?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes. So
yeah, sometimes it takes a while, honestly. Because you need those resources to like kind of honor the idea. Like, you could kind of shoot anything now. Like if we wanted to go outside and right now, it's like, let's go make a Star Wars. I mean, we could do like Snapchat filter lightsabers in our hands.
Very true.
If we wanted to get like good stuff, good money, good props, a good set, I mean, sometimes it takes not only money, but also just time.
Okay.
Which, heartbreaking.
It's something you can never get back.
Yeah.
So with time to go ahead, was someone funding it for you? Like, how did you fund it?
Well, we crowdfunded a bit.
And what is crowdfunding?
Like, were you an Indiegogo or a sort of, yeah. I feel like there's a more common name for like GoFundMe. There we go. Okay. That sort of deal. And you kind of market it around, because it was a smaller scale film, independent one. But we managed to actually pull off a very impressive film with, I mean, almost minimal budget. Okay. I would say the total spend came out to be probably like $1,000.
$1,000?
Yeah, like around £1,000, not including crew costs and some other like expenses.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Like you would think, like I'm just thinking it's gonna be so much money, like $5,000-$10,000. Like,
and I mean, to be fair, a lot of that we didn't even have to pay all at once, because I mean the process of how things go is like, especially if you're reimbursing people for time and stuff.
Right.
You kind of got to get those invoices out.
Yeah.
So in reality, you're paying it more in smaller, kind of like 200-ish increments, which means that.
And that's doable.
Yeah. I didn't have to, because it's my student film, I didn't have to rent equipment, though, and that would make budget skyrocket.
Okay. So, Time to Go Ahead was a student film.
Yeah, it was my graduate film.
Where were you studying?
Regent's University, London. Don't worry if you haven't heard of it, because it's like, nah.
I'm not from here, so it's okay. So is that like a film school, or is that what it specializes in, or
no, actually,
just a school?
It's a business school.
Okay.
So yeah, there's very like, a lot of people hoity-toity. A lot of people in like, the Gucci hats and like Louis V, all that sort of jazz. Very prim and proper. But yeah, not as creative.
Okay. All right. So you've won an award for one of your short films.
Yes. Actually.
Was that Tentacle Head or something different?
It was Tentacle Head. I've actually won a couple awards. So
okay, so let's roll them up. What awards have you won, and what films were they for?
Ooh, you put me on the spot now, because now I gotta pull out the registry in my brain. Okay, so at the Virgin Springs Cinefest, which, forgive me if they're watching this, I forget where it was. I believe we won a silver award for outstanding achievement in the category that we were placed in, which I'm not sure if that was the drama or student film category. As well as we were honored by the RTS. We got a RTS student award, which is nice for sound design. It's something that's really important, integral to the film. And I'm not ungrateful, I'm just forgetful. I try to like...
and it happens.
There's a couple more. You go to the Instagram, see this? I can work it into a plug. I folded it over. You got to go to the Instagram. You got to go to the website, Nasir_Allah on Instagram. Or NasirAllah.com.
Okay. And you can find more information there.
Yeah.
About the awards you've won.
Yeah.
Bet. So when did your passion for film begin? I don't think I asked you that yet.
Talked about it a little bit when relating it to the writing, but for film specifically, I think it was writing stage plays. And I was like, I like this, but there feels like there's something missing. And part of that, I think, was an element of control. That like, when it comes to a theater piece, you're in a big old theater. You don't have control over how somebody in the nosebleeds is seeing it. Versus when a movie, right, like if it's a close-up, that's what everyone in the entire theater is seeing. Yeah. And that allows you to kind of control what you're saying, what's being revealed to the audience. And that's something that's, I guess, really, really spoke to me as a creator.
Okay.
Because I'm a little bit of a control freak as a creator. Not so much in terms of, like, collaboration, but more like, well, I like to have every little detail.
Attention to detail.
Yeah. Kind of mapped out and all sort of feng shui'd out.
Okay. Okay, so I found the one that I was trying to ask you about. The art house fantasy horror film?
Oh, yes, and with Scarlet Strings.
So that's the one that's coming out?
Yes.
Or is it out? Or?
It's actually, it's also in festival runs. It just started its festival run, and it is at a festival that I believe is called Gasp Horror Fest, that it's actually, will be showing at. And I think that happens this summer as well. Mm-hmm. And that's about there's a woman who, she's kind of aching for a sense of belonging, and through being converted into a vampire, she's like kind of hoping to find that. Okay. And the painful process, as well as like the painful kind of process of just living, kind of robs her of her humanity. Okay. As she tries to, sort of tangle with her insatiable lust for blood. Yeah.
Okay. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you get your films into a festival?
Usually you can send them in Film Freeway, so you submit, and you might pay a fee for that, or sometimes they contact you about, hey, this is looking real nice. I mean, that's usually smaller ones, though, that will do that they're looking for things to put in. But, oh, man, excuse me. I've got, like, a yawn or, like, a burp. But, yeah, that's what you do.
Okay.
And, yeah, I think that's the only ways that I've managed to get into festivals. But you want to leave it in the comments if there's any other ways that you've got into a film festival.
Yeah, most definitely. So when it comes to festivals, how does that really work? Because, like, I've heard of them, but I've never known someone that's either been in one or attended one. So what does that attendance look like?
So they kind of curate films that are around, like, a theme, whether it's some, usually the theme is just kind of quality, like a Cannes Film Festival, like they just want the best ones. It's big names.
Okay.
Other ones would be more horror festivals. So if you submit like a drama that's maybe got only minimal horror in it, even if it's a good movie, it's not going to get in.
Okay. In
terms of attending, sometimes they'll do like you're just watching all the movies in one day. Sometimes they'll be spread across multiple days. A lot of the big European ones do that, where it's like, you go in the first day and there'll be 4 or 5 films. Some of which maybe, depending on where you're at, screen at the same time. But there's a lot of variety, actually, to how these things kind of work. Okay. It's pretty wild.
That's interesting. Because, like, that's a whole nother world in its own, like, film festivals. And so, do some movies that are in, or short films that are in film festivals go to become movies? Or?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
They go to expand and become features. A lot of grad films as well do that. Ones that do well. Yeah, it's pretty common. And a lot of times short films are produced as a proof of concept for a longer piece, which is kind of also, I guess, like an ethos that I a little bit try to take with when making short films. Because I always want to have more underneath the surface, that like if you were to blow this idea up for 2 hours, that there's interesting ideas to explore. Because then I also think that makes the shorter film more tantalizing, because it's like you're thinking about it. There's like, I want to climb into this world that like I can spend hours in, not just 30 minutes.
Okay. So most short films about 30 minutes, 30, 20 minutes.
They're usually between 10 to 15. I was just saying 30 minutes because Tentacle Head is way too, it's 30 minutes long. I remember when I was making it in university, they were like, don't make the film because how are you going to make the tentacles, and it's 30 minutes long? What are you doing? But I'd like to think we made it out okay. But I understand, because festival programming, you could put in 2 films instead of just one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what was the experience like winning an award? Like your first award? Do you remember that?
First award, like for this film or
for any film?
Anything in general.
Any film in particular, or one that we haven't spoken about.
It felt really gratifying, if I'm being honest. I don't know why it took me so long to come out. I was like, dramatic pause. It felt really gratifying.
Okay.
Which is one thing, because it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of times too where you just sort of feel like, not because of anything that you've really done, it's just you've been looking in the edit at this movie for so long, and it's like, man, you get the little inkling of doubt that you might have made just a completely just booty cheeks movie. And I think that things like awards and things like people just being like, hey, this is good, when you have gotten into that space of like, because you're paying all the money to all the people and everything, and it's like, why do I even do this? Like, I've loved doing this up until this point, because this is the worst part. Like, I've spent a bunch of money. It's basically but yeah, it just really is like a kind of cherry on top moment, and like you kind of feel like you've made it for a second, but I mean, you haven't actually. You gotta always be going on to the next one. So I try not to think about it too much, and really rest my laurels in that sense.
Okay. So one last question for you. What would you say is your, like, how do you come up with your ideas? Like, I know you spoke about Time to Go Ahead. It was basically based off someone else's story. But with some of your other projects, what would you say was the creative thing behind the product? I hope that made sense, because I felt like it did.
Yeah, no, don't worry. You're actually doing great. Like, actually, give me a little high five. Give me a little. You're killing it.
Appreciate that. I felt like I just said the same words, but it's all good. If you understood it, that's great.
Yeah. So in terms of coming up with ideas, I try to draw inspiration from, and this is going to sound super cliche, I try to draw inspiration from everything. But more in the sense that a lot of things are connected. There's ways that you can empathize with experiences that sort of seem very foreign and far from you, and just really get into the core of that. And I think that's how I sort of come up with a lot of the ideas, that I think about like a feeling, whether it's something that maybe has been expressed to me by you, like, someone I've just met, or in my own life. And I kind of think about how the best way to convey those like sort of feelings, like these are impactful, these are real, and this is something that maybe people don't talk about.
Right.
Again, to get back to that idea of trying to contribute something, like you're trying to show a side of humanity, a side of people that hasn't been shown before. Like, why does anyone want to just show up and just say what everyone else has been saying? Like,
Yeah.
And to get more specific, like talking to people. And drawing upon my own experiences as well, which I think for Electric Negro, which is an idea. I was gonna cross my legs. I'm gonna kick the heck out of that. Electric Negro is actually a superhero idea that I've been working on. It was at one point getting pitched around to a few different streaming providers, but that was before our producer unfortunately passed away, Papa Joe Aviance.
Okay. Rest in peace.
Yeah, big rest in peace. Rest in power, actually, as a matter of fact. Great man.
Okay.
But he passed away, and it sort of fizzled out a little bit, but got back into redeveloping, and he's black character, around my age. Okay. I feel like there's a lot to, I guess, identify with in there, and as well as someone just, struggling to make it in a place where seemingly you're like a dime a dozen,
So, where can people watch your short films now?
Oh, yes. You can refer to the website,
So they're on the website?
So Tentacle Head is available through the website. It's got a password protection because it is still in festivals, but you can watch it there. And soon it will get the full release.
Okay.
Same with Somewhere Scarlet Strings. You can probably expect a full release somewhere around about a year from now, but it also might be sooner or later. Because you never know with these things. Maybe it'll continue killing it at the festivals.
Okay. Sorry, just had to let the guy know that the next person's outside.
No, don't worry.
I hate that. Sorry. I feel like I just interrupted you.
No, it's really fine.
It's only because I don't have access to the doors and whatnot. But Okay. So we can go to your website and we can watch all of them. I think I might just go do that when I get back.
Oh, yes, you really should. And also, one last thing about Electric Negro, because I need to say this, and you remember to say this, is that it's basically Atlanta with superheroes.
Okay.
The way that Atlanta is Twin Peaks with rappers, it's Atlanta with superheroes.
Okay.
So instead of the rap game, it's people shooting zaps from their fingers.
Okay.
And whatnot.
All right, that's actually pretty cool. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to discuss?
Okay. I did mention the modeling earlier.
Yes. Okay.
But I was actually in a show last night that I attended and I looked at in some photography that someone had taken. And that's something that I've only recently started exploring.
Is photography or modeling?
Modeling. Because I was always, in front of the camera. I mean, behind the camera, not in front of it. And I never really saw myself as being that kind of person outside of being an actor. Like, you know what I mean? Just kind of go and pretend to be someone else.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I've really embraced a certain new sense of selfhood. And I've really been enjoying that. Especially because it's also, a little bit like acting. And not to say that it's easy. I'm not trying to discredit acting, but you don't have to do as much of the thinking before you show up. Like where's all the props and whatnot.
Right. Just show up and you're dressed and okay, tell me what to do.
And you gotta get ready to roll. You gotta get in the emotions.
Yes.
It's nice.
All right, so I'm just gonna go through the last set of questions that I ask everyone. Ooh. And
you ask everyone? They're not specially made for me. I'm hurt.
No, sorry. I mean, they get everyone the same way. If that makes you think, if that helps.
I'm just another one on the hit list.
Yes, most definitely. Yeah. What advice would you give to 18-year-old you about what you're doing now?
What advice I'd give to 18-year-old me? That's a difficult one.
See, told you.
Yeah, you're right. You stumped me. You ain't lying. I think one of the things that I'd maybe tell to myself, and I have to remind myself as well, is to just relax every now and again. Because I'm a person that I can work myself to the bone. And especially because I love doing what I'm doing. It's fun to just be thinking about constantly developing things, writing stuff down, and doing all that. And there was a period, and I think with Tentaclehead, which I'm very grateful for how that film turned out, as well as with other films I've made, just burning self out by going too hard, just going constantly, and also stretching myself thin in ways... because I really just want to be a team player and I want to make the best thing possible.
Right.
And that's just how I'm built. But, yeah, I would probably just tell myself to relax a little bit.
Okay.
And I'd also tell myself to talk to that Lily person sooner, who's my co-director. I'd be like, okay. Hey, yeah, give some tips on collaborating, or maybe some sports bets as well.
Okay.
Make some money off the Super Bowls.
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. Would you consider yourself an entrepreneur or just a creative?
I guess to a certain extent could be considered an entrepreneur, because I like to create opportunities for other people.
Okay.
Which you get to do as a director, right? Like you hire, and as a writer too. I mean, you're making roles for people. Director, you're casting actors. You're getting crew members. And I'd like to sort of build a community in that sense, where it's like there's a culture here that everyone can feel safe and like they can contribute. But to speak towards, I actually lost my train of thought.
So we can ask the question again?
Yeah. Yes. The door.
So what advice would you give to our listeners on entrepreneurship? I think the question that you was really answering is, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Yes.
So.
But I wouldn't really consider myself an entrepreneur per se, even though I do really take pride in creating opportunities for people and creating an environment where they can do their work and be appreciated for that and be respected. But yeah, I would consider myself more of a creative.
Okay.
And I also don't like to maybe dirty my hands with sounding all like, oh, I'm somebody's boss. Because, I like to keep it relatively egalitarian too on sets.
Okay. So then, if that's the case, what advice would you give to our listeners on being creative?
On being creative? I could be really basic and I could say, oh, you just continue making. But I think what's also important with making is to continually be trying new stuff. And not just new things that are kind of in the same wheelhouse as what you're doing. I mean, that means like new mediums. That means watching a movie that you think that you aren't gonna like, and listening to music that you think is grating and like that sounds stupid to you. Because I think that it almost broadens your horizons. And when you're able to observe something like that, and maybe where it speaks to you or it doesn't, you can kind of break down, oh, that's ridiculous, and I kind of know why it's ridiculous, and that kind of helps you form your own style. Like this is your own sort of opinions, your own moral code, I guess, as like an artist.
Okay.
So yeah.
What is next for you and your business?
Straight to the top.
Yes, go for it.
But no, next so releasing Song with Scarlet Strings probably within the next year.
Okay.
Festival runs for both of those films, Tentacle Head and Song with Scarlet Strings, still continuing. So we get in awards. Also continuing to do production design work on the side. Hopefully, Electric Negro. Again, there's sort of discussions kind of going on that, and hopefully, it continues to ascend. And maybe we'll be seeing that relatively soon.
Yes, I think that's the one I'm gonna go watch first.
Yeah,
that one's on your website, right?
No, Electric Negro's in development. I can send you a script though.
Okay.
If you're interested.
All right. Yeah, it sounds good, man. Sounds really good.
Oh,
all right. What would you say to your future self 5 years from now?
Future self 5 years from now. Wait.
So right now you're here, but you're telling yourself something to you 5 years older.
I'm like,
what advice do you have for yourself?
What advice do I have? Because I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, except definitely, I think doing bigger, same as what I'm doing, sort of like filmmaking, but just bigger, trying to always go further and further and further and push it. So I think I don't really have anything that valuable to say. Like, I think that he'll be doing all right, but I will say,
not good
you better not be wearing all them rings still. You grown man now. You too old for all this. All this jewelry. What's wrong with you? Who you trying to impress? That's what I'm saying to 5-year-old me. Not 5-year-old me.
5 years older.
Yes.
All right.
5-year-old me.
And the last question is, where do you see yourself and your business in 5 years' time?
Again, doing bigger and better things. That means making longer, more ornate films, kind of more complex, going with more complex themes, as well as, we've lived a lot more life. We'll be able to touch on things with a little bit more of that lived experience, that's kind of depth. So I'm really excited for just the new horizon.
Okay.
And I also believe that things like modeling, all the side kind of ventures, will also be further along.
Okay.
And I'm just excited to be doing a lot more of what I'm doing and a lot better in 5 years.
That's good. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions for you?
Yes.
Where'd you get that nice little necklace?
This?
Yeah, it's fell underneath the sweatshirt, but...
Where did I get this from? What's that place? Somewhere in Bermuda. I think it's called E.R. Aubrey.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that. Yeah.
Got it from them.
Word.
Yeah.
Because I need me a nice little gold link like that.
Yeah, it's just... I actually bought this as a birthday present for myself. It's like, no one wants to buy me anything? Fine. Go buy myself something nice, like, you know? That's,
they were treating you rough. Nobody got you anything.
I'm telling you, man. It's rough.
It's hard out here.
But it's all good, though. This is mine, and I'll keep it until I'm a millionaire, then I'll upgrade.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Any other questions?
When was your birthday? I know that's like silly.
My birthday is November 2nd.
It's November 2nd?
I got this, not this past year, but the year before that I bought it.
Yeah, because I was going to be like happy belated, but I mean like...
It's coming going.
Way gone.
It's coming going. All right. Just let the listeners know one more time where they can find you.
Ooh, burp. Yeah, not there. You can find me on Instagram at Nasir _Allah, NASIR _ALLAH. NasirAllah.com, spelled the same way. No underscore in the middle. And yeah. All
right, Nasir, thank you for partaking in another episode of the Black Excellence Club podcast. My name is Sakudini, and I am the host, and I am on a journey from unknown to unforgettable. And again, thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me, honestly. It's been a blast. You're great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.